So if you have a pillow, you don't need a fancy bolster, but grab a pillow so that you can sit up on it. Grab your yoga mat, or you don't even need a yoga mat for this practice. I'm gonna have Benjamin practicing with me so that you guys can kind of see what's going on in the screen. And then I have some wonderful readings for us. We made it.
We did. I'm
Hi.
so excited. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. So if you have a little essential oil, I put that on my post. You can take a couple of drops. I'll share a couple drops with you over here. Take some deep breaths. If you don't have an essential oil, just close the eyes and settle in. Settle into your seat. If you have a blanket as well, you'll want to grab one of those too, just for a little bit of comfort and a little bit of extra padding. We're here to practice some yin yoga. So we are not doing any big flow. We're actually only going to be doing a couple of postures. And the real key with yin yoga is you're going to go into your first edge. As long as you don't have a big injury that you're working with, go to your first edge of the stretch. Use the breath. The breath is the flow in this practice. And we're going to hold it for some time. So I got a nice timer for us. And then we're going to come out nice and slowly. So there's going to be some counter poses that we'll be doing just to come back in. We ready for this?
Totally.
All right, so go ahead and just close the eyes, lengthen the spine, take your chin and draw it back just a hair to get the spine nice and long. And we'll take a couple 3-part breaths. So inhale, expand the belly, expand the chest, and inhale through the nose all the way up to the collarbone, and exhale from the collarbone, chest, belly, finally drawing belly button in towards the spine. Inhale, belly button, expand the belly, expand the chest, expand the collarbone, and exhale, collarbone, chest, belly, finally drawing belly button in. Take a few of those at your own pace with your own breath. And with each exhale, grow a little taller, but also soften a little bit more. With each inhale, grow a little bit bigger. As you exhale, exhale out the crown of the head so that your spine grows a little taller. I'd like to invite you to set an intention for your practice. We have 60 minutes together. What do you intend? What can you leave behind? And what do you want to invite in? Perhaps it's just a moment to calm the mind, a moment to nourish your body, taking this time to pause. Take 3 more of these 3-part breaths. See if you can inhale even deeper and exhale even longer. See, we spend a lot of our time running around in our sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight. This is a chance to tap into our parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. And we do that just by slowing down, slowing the body, slowing the mind, and really diving into using the breath. Draw palms to prayer. Revisit that intention and take a moment of gratitude. What are 5 things right now that you can feel grateful for? Perhaps it's the technology that we have to use to be able to contact one another right now. Perhaps it's your body. Perhaps it's your clear mind. Maybe your lungs to be able to breathe. And when you're ready, go ahead and flicker your eyes open, and we're gonna move into our first shape, reclined butterfly. So we'll come onto our backs. Soles of the feet are gonna come together into butterfly. And if your floor is too hard, you can lay on your blanket, and you can just gently bring the legs to open. Palms are gonna face the sky, and stretch your arms out wide if you can. So this is a nice heart opener. Yes. Now, if it feels like too much on your legs, you can also take a blanket and roll it up so that your legs aren't going past your first edge. But if this feels okay, just stay and be. And rest. I would like you to take your focus right to your heart center. Close your eyes and inhale, expand into your heart center. And then as you exhale, see if you can expand a little bit further into that chest area. Inhale, expand into the chest. Exhale, see if you can stretch and expand a little bit more. It's a decompression breath. So we're decompressing the spine, decompressing the intercostal muscles. Just close the eyes and soften. And I have a reading from the Complete Guide to Yin Yoga. It's by Bernie Clark. Dukkha. Dukkha is a Pali word that has been translated in many different ways. It is used frequently in Buddhism, where it is often translated as suffering. The Buddha noted that all life contains three characteristics: dukkha, anicca, and anatta: suffering, impermanence, and no independent arising or self. Dukkha is part of life. If you are alive, you will experience it. A better translation of the word could be unsatisfactoriness or unreliableness. Life is not always sorrowful or filled with suffering, but there are times when pain will arise, when things will happen that we wish were not happening. That is dukkha. How we react is what creates our suffering and sorrow. Pain is just pain. When we make a drama around it, we turn the pain into suffering. The difference between pain and suffering is nicely illustrated through a parable that the Buddha once relayed. One day, the Buddha was sitting in front of a group of monks, and he asked them, "Imagine there was a man, and imagine that this man had just been shot in the thigh with an arrow. How would that man feel?" The monks replied, "Hurt, in pain." "Right," said the Buddha. "Now, imagine that this man got hit by a second arrow right in the same spot. How would he feel?" "Worse, agony," responds the monks. "Exactly," said the Buddha. "And the name of that second arrow is suffering, and it is optional." Breathe a little bit deeper into this space. Notice your right big toe and your left big toe and the soles of your feet. What sensations are you feeling in the body? And can you soften a little bit more right now? Ever so slowly, we'll begin to use the hands and draw the legs together. Just assist your legs closed. You can bring the soles of the feet down to the mat, and you can tick-tock your legs from side to side, windshield wipering those knees. And this is really where you can notice the effects of the posture. Maybe you're feeling a tingling, throbbing, pulsing. That is prana. It's life force flowing through the body. So take whatever movement feels intuitive to you right now. Maybe you want to hug your knees in for a big bear hug, rocking from side to side. Maybe drawing a soft smile to your face. Our next shape that we're going to move into slowly is Anahatasana heart melting pose. So you can roll over onto your hands and knees. You can grab your pillow because we are going to hold it for a few minutes, or a blanket to roll it up. But come standing up on the knees, extend the arms out. Keep walking the arms out so that your hips are over your knees and your arms extend and your chest begins to melt towards your mat or towards your pillow or your bolster. Beautiful. So you don't want to bow into the back too much, but this is really opening up the front of the heart. So just see if you can find the breath here. And if you can find stillness, that's excellent. If you need to adjust, feel free. You don't want to feel pain, so make sure that if you are feeling pain, you come out of it. I'm not able to see everybody's bodies here from the screen, so just trust your intuition. And if you need to lift your chest up a little bit higher, that's all good too. You can use as many props as you need. We're just really opening up the front of the chest. We do a lot of holding in the front of the body, so now is the time to really just open it up. In times where I've experienced dukkha or suffering, although it is optional, it's sometimes hard to get around. Taking heart openers is a really, really excellent option to help open the body. We tend to hold a lot in the chest. And the story continues. The first of the Buddha's 2 arrows is dukkha. There will be times in life when pain arises. The second arrow, which he called suffering, is called by what we do about the first arrow, and that is why it is optional. We could choose to just be with the pain that has arisen in our life, but we don't. We add to it. We love to create drama. A comedian once said that Christmas is a time when dysfunctional families get back together and re-traumatize the hell out of each other. This is optional. The Buddha is famous for being the first, but not the last, to point out that we are what we think. If we allow our thoughts to linger negatively on what's happening, or worse, if we allow our thoughts to remain negatively on what might happen or what has happened, we are striking ourselves with that second arrow. If you want to be unhappy, think about unhappy things. If you want to be content, think of all the things you already have. This may seem on the surface to be a variation of the first strategy described earlier of running away or ignoring what is happening, but it is really the last strategy. We pay attention to what is actually happening, notice what our reaction is, evaluate whether this reaction is wise or not, and if not, change it by changing our thoughts. Really slowly begin to walk your hands back towards your chest, raising the torso up. If you want to just come into a tabletop here and take a couple of cat-cows, that might feel nice to unwind. Maybe you want to open up the chest, taking a gentle additional back bend or a front bend. Just move the spine around and do what feels good in the body. Maybe tick-tocking those hips from side to side, wagging your tail. Maybe a down dog might feel nice. Awesome. Beautiful. Just move slowly. Notice what's happening in the body. Can you notice the subtle sensations in the body? Our next shape that we're going to move into is a child's pose. So if your head has a hard time getting down to the ground, you can place a bolster underneath your chest. You can extend your arms out forward, or your arms can come to your sides with your palms facing the sky. If you are laying on a pillow and your head is turned to one side, I'll let you know when we're halfway through the pose. We're gonna hold it for about 5 minutes. But otherwise, just find your comfortable child's pose. And breathe. And if maybe you notice with your arms outstretched that you do want to bring them by your sides, you can do that halfway through as well. And the story continues. So what does all of this have to do with our yin practice? It is during yin yoga that we get to practice this advanced level of paying attention to our life. When we are at our edge and feeling the juiciness of the pose, we are simulating a challenging time. Now we get to notice our habitual pattern of reaction. And if it is not skillful, work to change that reaction and to create a new pattern. Breathe. Now imagine and envision the space between your shoulder blades, the back of your heart. And breathe into that space. See if as you breathe that you can open that space a little bit more. We're halfway, so if you do have your head turned, go ahead and turn your head to the other side. Now, another visualization is imagining a white light flowing up and down the spine with your inhales and exhales. So beginning at your tailbone, envision a white light streaming up your spinal column, all the way up between the shoulder blades, up to the neck, up to that cervical spine, and then through the crown of the head. And then as you exhale, exhale that white light back down the spine the way that you came up. Deep breaths. Notice the belly rising and falling on your thighs. Notice the thoughts streaming through your mind. Breathe. Where have we been striking ourselves with the second arrow? And can we just be in the space with that first arrow? Continue to breathe. Just a few short seconds here. And before you begin to move, maybe just tick-tock your forehead from side to side, giving yourself a little forehead massage on your mat. And before you begin to move, imagine with your mind's eye, what is that first movement you're going to do to come out of this pose? And when you're ready, begin to move. Maybe rolling up one vertebrae at a time, really slowly. Maybe you want to come standing on the knees and taking a little, just modified camel, just back bend. Maybe shifting the hips from side to side. Maybe a downward dog would feel nice. If you want to take a forward fold, lengthening the legs. Just whatever you need to do. Nice. Let's make our way onto our backs. We're going to do reverse pigeon here. So you can cross your left leg over your right thigh, pulling, or first just stay right there, and with your left hand just gently open up that left thigh. Breathe. And then when you're ready, you can stay right there if that feels like enough. You can pull the right knee towards you and interlace all 10 fingers behind the right thigh. You can stay there, but if you're not feeling much of a sensation, you can come on top of the shin, the right shin, or you can extend the right leg up towards the sky. Yeah, there's just a few options here for reclined pigeon. Now you want to have both shoulders and hips on the mat, and if they're not, if one hip is lifted up, you can place a blanket underneath the hip. That's another option. But as you inhale, just pull gently with that right thigh towards you and you're with your hands. And as you exhale, just continue to pull and open up that left thigh and hip. Inhale, pull, and with the left elbow, gently open up the left thigh and hip. Breathe. Can you notice your hips just gently opening? And if they are really tight, it's okay. There's no judgment here. Non-judgment is one of the practices of yoga, and it's specifically aimed at non-judgment towards self. So how can you be a little nicer to yourself, saying some nice, gentle things to open up the body? Breathe. Trying to make sure that that spine is nice and long, so you can tuck your chin gently, just lengthening the spine on the mat. Gently begin to uncross the legs. Coming back to the windshield wiper. You can tick-tock those knees from side to side. Taking a nice stretch. If you want to give yourself a bear hug, that is a nice option. You can also take a bridge pose just to open up the hips. Got a demo here. Nice. Opening up the front of the hip. Beautiful. And when you're ready, we'll move on to the other side. So crossing the right ankle over the left thigh. With the right hand, just gently open up the right thigh. And pause and breathe. And when you're ready, you can begin to pull that left thigh in towards you, interlacing all 10 fingers behind the left thigh or on top of the left shin, where you can extend the left leg up towards the sky. And breathe. So we can go back to the visualization of light moving up and down the spine while we're laying on our backs. So if you can visualize the front part of your spine, not the side that is laying on the mat, but the front part of the spine in the body. Close the eyes and notice a light. Maybe it is a hue of white, gold, violet. And notice it streaming up from the tip of your tailbone and gently moving up your lumbar spine, up the thoracic, all the way up the cervical, and then up through the back of the head and the crown of the head. And then exhaling in the opposite direction, going down the cervical, thoracic, lumbar, and right out the tailbone. So continue with that visualization while you notice sensations in the body. What sensations do you notice? And can you soften your muscles a little bit more? So we can think of yin and yang in forms of our body. So our yin tissues are our joints and our ligaments, our bones and our fascia. Yang tissue are our muscles and our skin. And the yang tissues build up quite a bit of heat. We need a little bit of movement to get the muscles activated, but we're actually stressing into our joints and ligaments for yin yoga. So this holding, the long holding, is really activating into our joints and our ligaments and also into different meridian lines in the body. So you might notice the effects of your yin practice for maybe a couple of days. You'll want to drink a lot of water afterward and just take notice of your body. So before you make any big movements, with your mind's eye, notice what your first move is going to be, and then slowly begin to move. Maybe tick-tocking the knees or the thighs from side to side. Maybe taking a big stick stretch, so lengthening the legs, reaching the arms up overhead, point and stretch. And as you exhale, just melt into the mat. Inhale, reach and stretch. And exhale, melt. So keep the arms up overhead and keep the legs long. We're gonna practice banana asana. So take your right leg towards the right corner of your mat. I'm just gonna follow Benjamin here. And the left ankle crosses over the right ankle. Excellent. Now reach the arms up overhead and the right hand is gonna grab the left wrist. So if I were to look at you from above, you are the shape of a banana. So you're bringing your hands to the right corner of the mat and your legs to the right corner of the mat, and then your hips stay in the middle. So you're really getting a stretch into your left side body. Now, if one shoulder is really lifted up off of the mat, grab a blanket and tuck it underneath your left shoulder. If your hips aren't flat, try to get your hips flat. If your arms are up off of the ground, you can also place a blanket or a pillow underneath your arms so that your arms aren't just hanging out in space. And try to center your head between your arms and just keep your gaze up towards the sky. Or maybe a soft close of the eyes. Now, I'm going to invite you for a little bit more decompression breath where we're expanding on our inhales and also expanding on our exhales. So as you inhale, really expand into your left rib cage. And as you exhale, see if you can expand a little bit more into that left side. It's a very interesting idea, but I learned this from the master Tony G. So inhale, expand into your ribs and your spine. And as you exhale, see if you can expand a little bit more without forcing it. So you want to be really gentle on yourself, but see if you can grow in between your intercostal muscles. Inhale, expand. Exhale, expand a little bit more, grow a little bigger. And really just use your mind's eye to visualize that. But breathe deeply into that left rib cage. And if my hand was on top of your left rib cage, as you inhale, I would feel the ribs expanding. And then on the exhale, I would still feel the ribs expanding. So take 3 more of those breaths. And then after you reach your 3, just resume natural breathing. Maybe lick the lips and swallow. Allow the tongue to just relax. Allow the face to relax. Nice and slowly begin to come back to the middle. Maybe giving yourself a big bear hug, tick-tocking from side to side. Breathe. And then we'll move on to the other side. So extend the legs down. We'll cross the right ankle over the left. And then with the left hand, we're going to grab the right wrist, coming to the left corner of the mat. So you might need to pick up your torso a little bit to inch over. coming into a banana shape on the left side, opening up the right side of the body. So just really breathe here. And envision the right side of your body opening. We really compact down into our intercostal muscles and our rib cage, especially when we are in flight or flight mode. So now's the time to soften and open. Like I said on the other side, if your arms are just hanging out in space, you can place a blanket or a pillow underneath your hands. We'll practice the decompression breath on this right side. So as you inhale, expand into your right rib cage. And as you exhale, continue to expand a little bit more. Inhale, expand. Exhale, expand. Maybe you might feel your rib cage pressing into your mat a little bit more. But feel your body opening. Using the breath to create space in the body. I'll invite you to visualize the yin and yang symbol. So that symbol of the dark side and the light side with the squiggly line in the middle. And in the dark side, there's a little speck of light. And on the light side, there's a little speck of dark. So yin and yang, dark and light, the sun and moon, hard and soft, day and night, muscles and joints. There's lots of different opposites out there, but we couldn't have one without having the other. So when our society is extremely yang, running all over the place, staying really, really busy, sometimes there is a forced yin so that we can create balance and harmony. Similar to our bodies, if we are running and running and running and not resting and overworking and not listening to our intuition, to our bodies giving us signals to slow down, we may experience any sort of illness. Maybe it's just the common cold, or your body just might be really tired and your body might be asking you to sleep more. So the yin practice is all about bringing ourselves back into balance, back into harmony. And that squiggly line through the middle, it's known as the Tao. It's the way. It's that middle ground. And a lot of times we don't find our own balance. It has to be shown to us. So right now we're being shown a little bit of societal yin, a forced yin. And how can we embrace it and calm ourselves as much as possible throughout this time? Breathe. Where can you soften right now? Ever so slowly, begin to come back to the middle. And just bring your arms to your sides really slowly. And just come into a brief Shavasana, just seeing what it feels like in the body. Can you notice those subtle feelings flowing through? Maybe just tick-tocking your head from side to side. Maybe you want to give yourself a big bear hug now, rocking from side to side. What slow and soft, easy movement feels good to you right now? We have a puppy in the building, and puppy is laying on its back, just really loving itself right now. So this practice also works for dogs. And if you notice, the more you calm yourself, the dogs also really love it. So this is a really great time for animals. All right, so we're gonna take a nice twist. Once you get your counter pose in, we'll just pull the left knee up into the chest, extend the right leg down. You can see Benjamin is grabbing his props, so you can grab a blanket or your pillow and just gently guide the left leg across the body. Now you can hook it behind the left thigh. If you have really flexible hips and knees, you can take eagle legs, if you know what that is, wrapping that left leg behind the right calf. Otherwise, just come into your twist, use your prop so that your knee isn't just hanging out in space. And if your shoulder is also hanging out in space, you can put a blanket or a pillow behind your shoulder. But open up your arms. Oh, yeah, perfect. Switch some things around. How we doing out there, everybody? Jonah's gonna check in on our live stream here. So just open up the palms. This opens up the heart meridian. Breathe and twist. Your gaze can be up towards the sky, or you can look past your left fingertips for a little extra twist. Yay, Jonah's giving me the thumbs up, so we're doing great. I'm gonna invite you to breathe into your left rib cage again. See if you can expand into your ribs. Maybe expand into your left heart space, the front of the heart, the back of the heart, all directions. Breathe. I have a reading from The Lion Tracker's Guide to Life by Boyd Varty. Obsessed with thinking, modern culture has forgotten the innate knowledge of the body, how its signals are a guide, how it knows what it needs to be healthy, how it can tell you if something is right for you or not by the way it feels. We must learn to read the subtle tracks of the body, the way it relaxes and opens when something feels right, the contraction and tightness when we are not where we are meant to be. Sometimes the body will have to get sick before we will listen to what it is saying to us. For men, feelings have long been outlawed. We have been disconnected from our instincts. Bringing attention back to the landscape of the body allows you to find the trail of the wild self. Notice how your body feels in this space. Breathe. We are coming back home to ourselves. Practice after practice. Slowly begin to unwind your body. You can pull both knees up into the chest if you want a bear hug. Maybe taking some hip circles like Benjamin is demonstrating. And when you're ready, we'll move to the other side. So grab your props, prop yourself up how you did on the other side. Hug that right knee up into the belly and begin to twist. Open the arms and the palms to the sky. And breathe into your heart space. You can look past your right fingertips. You can look up towards the sky. You can just close the eyes. Noticing the signs from the body. What has your body been asking of you? I know for me personally, my body has asked me time and again to slow down. And I have to practice at that. It doesn't come easily. But this is a great practice for you to experiment with being still. And maybe it's absolutely driving you crazy. Breathe. See if you can really breathe into the right side of the body this time. Twists are excellent for digestion. So if you notice that your digestion gets stimulated after this practice, shoot me a DM and I'll celebrate that with you. Just really breathe into your belly. Where can you soften? And perhaps the softening is in the mind. Releasing any and all judgment of self and of others. Because the only people that we can control is ourselves. Slowly begin to come untwisted. Guiding your body back to the middle. Perhaps hugging the knees in, maybe tick-tocking the thighs from side to side. Just what is the body asking? Can you notice the subtle tracks of what the body needs right now? And our last and final shape is happy baby. So you can bring your legs up towards the sky, keeping the knees bent. Now, you can grab your big toes with your middle and index finger. You can grab the outer edges of your feet, or you can just grab your thighs if you're not able to reach your feet. Breathe. And if it doesn't feel good to have the legs wide, you can keep the thighs wide, but bring the soles of the feet together. And that might feel nice. Just breathe into this final shape before we move into Shavasana. Maybe take a slight tuck of the chin to get the spine nice and long on the mat. Notice how this feels in the body. Breathe. Where can you soften while still maintaining the structure of this shape? Deep belly breaths. Maybe you can count your breath. Perhaps for 6 seconds on your inhale, pausing at the top, and exhaling for 6 or 7 seconds on the exhale. Inhaling for 6. Pause, and exhaling for 7. If you are pregnant, you don't want to practice any breath retention. And if the breath retention or the holding of the breath doesn't feel good in the body, then just don't do it. You can inhale for 6, pause, and then exhale for 7 or even 8. Take a few more deep breaths here. And then nice and slowly we'll begin to release. Taking whatever wiggles or counter poses feels good right now before we move into final Shavasana. You can use your blanket to cover yourself up. You can use your pillow to put underneath your knees. That might feel nice. Whatever feels good here for your final Shavasana. We have a full 6 minutes to practice this. See if you can relax your face, relax your jaw, allow your tongue to rest, your palms to soften, your hips to soften, your knees, ankles, and toes. While you rest here, I have a reading from Daily Om by Madison Taylor. Mystery of Transformation. The Butterfly Chrysalis. When a caterpillar begins life in an egg, it looks nothing like what will hatch. And the butterfly seems a far cry from the larva that precedes it. Do caterpillars recognize butterflies as their future selves? Do butterflies identify caterpillars as past relations? The most mysterious phase of this shape-shifting creature's process is that of the chrysalis, the jade green cocoon in which the crawling, leaf-eating caterpillar transforms into a floating, nectar-drinking butterfly. In our human lives, we sometimes find ourselves in the chrysalis state. Those times when we do not have a lot to offer the outside world, it is because, whether we realize it or not, much of our energy is consumed with an inner transition. We might feel sluggish or uninterested in what surrounds us. We might feel impatient with ourselves, wondering why we do not have the energy we used to for our usual routines. But if we remember the chrysalis, the dark inner sanctum that provides the environment for a remarkable conversion, we can relax and let ourselves be, finding ways to support our process rather than coaxing ourselves away from it. If you see a butterfly emerging from its chrysalis, the temptation may be to help it break out. The physical challenge of this part of the process is necessary, though, for the butterfly to build its strength so that it can survive outside. The same is true for us. Sometimes we have to labor on our own to discover the force we need to be our new selves in the world. Similarly, when seeing friends or family members struggling, it is easy to become impatient and want to help with their emergence. But we have to learn to let others make their own way. Taking on the challenge of liberating ourselves enables us to thrive in our new freedom. Sometimes the greatest support we can offer others and ourselves is patience and quiet confidence in the process unfolding, along with faith that the results will be extraordinary. Soften. You can stay here as long as you'd like. You have your own time and space. But if you'd like, you can begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Maybe setting your props aside, rolling onto one side, like a little baby in a fetal position. A little snuggle for yourself. Noticing how your body feels. And then gradually making your way up to a seat. Thank you all for being here. If you'd like to check out more classes, so many teachers are offering lots of things. So stay tuned. And Common Bond Yoga, you can check out youtube.commonbondyoga.com or patreon.com/commonbondyoga. Any other announcements? Oh yes, we had some DJ Soul Rising playing in the background, so thank you to him. Thank you to Jonah and Benjamin. And thank you to you all. I love you. Namaste. Be well, friends.